Last week, I was at both the National Religious Broadcasters Conference and the Teach Them Diligently Homeschoolers Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. While it was great to meet with people who are interested in learning about the Constitution, I did walk away with one question. Where do you go to get your information, and why? So we'll ponder that next on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel here with the Constitution Study, where we read and study the Constitution and teach the rising generation to be free. I'm glad you could join me. As always, head over to that website, constitutionstudy.com. That's where you'll find out everything that I'm working on. You can see where I'm going to be speaking. You can invite me to come speak at one of your events. Hopefully there'll be some news coming up very soon about both the online classes, the Insider program, and the book. But I'll leave that till I can actually make an announcement. Also, it's where you can help by either purchasing some of my books or my material, or just donating to the cause to help me take this message to more and more places. Now with that, let's talk a little bit about where we get our information. Now, we live in the information age. We have access to more information, more time than any other time in history. I mean, just think about it. We carry the access to the sum of human knowledge pretty much in our hands every day. But to paraphrase Stan Lee in the Spider-Man comics, with great power comes great responsibility. There's a lot of talk lately about fake news and shadow banning and what we're going to do about it. And none of this is new. This has been going around since, well, there's been people. So the question then becomes, where do we get our information and why? Now, I'd love it if you put in the comments where you get what are your sources for information? Why do you use them? But being this is my podcast, I'd give you a clue of where I go to get my information. Now, I have two main streams of information. One is news feeds and one are podcasts. Now, as far as news feeds, I try to get information from a lot of different sources, right? American Thinker, One News Now, The Federalist, The Foundry, I get the Daily Caller, Patriot Post, CNN, NBC News. I try to get it from a lot of different sides, and I do this for a very good reason. Everybody has a point of view. You see, everybody has a world view through which they filter all that information, and it's human nature. It ends up in their material. So what I do is I try to take competing points of view on a specific topic. Now, mostly what I'm doing here is not so much finding my answers, but finding material that I want to investigate. So, when I compare, like, say, National Review or The Blaze to maybe what I hear on, CNS or one of the other news services, what I'm looking for are articles that grab my attention, something that I want to read deeper. And I have a system where I capture those, and it kind of goes into a list that I will research later. Now, the other area I get a lot of information from are podcasts. And basically because I can't always read what's going on. In fact, I try to go through my news feeds every day. Doesn't always work, but I try. But I have podcasts. And the same thing. I'm listening to World News and Albert Mohler and the 10th Amendment Center, and specifically I'm looking more for people who are talking about constitutional issues that I want to hear about, right? So whether it's Chris Ann Hall or Wall Builders or any of the others that I'm finding, again, these are information for me, but I'm also looking for ideas. Now, once I have an idea, here's where I think it's very important for people who really want to understand it, and that is take a topic and then go research both sides of the point of view. Whether you're dealing with ICE and sanctuary cities or state nullification or the latest Supreme Court opinion, the trick is to go in and find the details. These news stories, these podcasts are not my original source. They kind of get me started. Then I go back to to original sources and read. I read the bills that are being discussed. I read the reports that are part of the news article. I read the court opinions that are part of the article. And that becomes the basis for whatever articles I'm writing, whatever videos I'm recording. So it's important is I'm getting different points of view from different places, but ultimately what I'm trying to find is a story that I think is worthy of my time. It's educational for you. And then I go to the original sources to get to put my own understanding on it. And I'll often quote news articles if that's the only source, or if comparing how different organizations present something. But that's me. This is what I do for a living. What about you? Now, hopefully, you listen to my podcast, you watch the videos, you're reading my articles, and you're following along with the quotes. It's one of the reasons why I put so many quotes in my articles and in my videos, is to see that I'm referring to original sources. Because that to me is the best way to understand what was going on, the original source and whoever wrote the original source. Now, this is important because, well, let's face it, there is a lot of what is called fake news. What people call fake news is really just a story from a particular point of view, right? And whether you're for it or against it kind of shades how you present that story. Again, that's human nature. But we have to remember the phrase caveat emptor. See, all of these news sources, all of the news feeds I receive, all the podcasts I listen to, all the news that we all get, they're for sale. They're businesses. These places are trying to get your attention because they're selling advertising based on your clicks or your views. So just like any consumer needs to be aware of what they're buying, we need to be aware of what we're buying when it comes to our news and information. Now, I may disagree with a lot of different points of view, but what bothers me is when information is just plain wrong and no one has taken the time to actually look at the original source. So that's what I want to encourage you to do is, one, listen to information from multiple sides. Just because you disagree with them most of the time doesn't mean they're never ever right. And it doesn't mean you won't agree with them occasionally. Just because you agree with somebody most of the time doesn't mean that they're right. But when you find something that grabs your attention, do a little research. Caveat emptor. Beware of this. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Go in and research it. I can't tell you the number of times I've read a news article about some piece of legislation that either is praising to the nines or the end of the world is coming because it's legislation, and then I read it and it's not nearly what was hyped. Same thing with court opinions. Now, and I understand you may not take the time to do all of that, but it's worthy to take your time and say, just because one person said it doesn't mean it's necessarily true. Let me double check it. I have an organization that's called the Be a Berean Network. And it comes from a story in the Bible, the book of Acts, where Paul and Timothy went to this town called Berea, and they're referred to as more noble, more open-minded than those in Thessalonica, because they listened to what was said and then went back to Scripture to see if it was so. So I'm encouraging you all to listen to what people are saying and then go back and check their facts for yourself. Now, you may trust one source or trust another source, but make sure you vet those sources and don't trust them blindly. Double check their facts. Double check their information. Now, is this magically going to turn us from the polarized society that we are into a magical kumbaya moment? No. But what it will do is make you aware of possibly more sides to the story than you thought were actually there, and make sure that you're getting information that's as accurate as possible, that has as little spin as possible, and give you information both to form your opinion and to communicate your opinion to others. And hopefully this podcast, these videos, these articles, well, they're part of your news stream. And hopefully I've shown you that what I'm trying to do is give you as much information. Yes, I tell you my opinions, but the information to back up what I'm saying, and that you'll find it worthy to share with others. Please do that. Please head to the website, constitutionstudy.com, find those articles, find those videos, and share them. That's why I put them up there. It's not simply for me to talk to a camera and let you know what I'm thinking. It's to hopefully get you thinking about things and then sharing that information with others. You know, if we want America to remain the land of the free, we need to be a well-educated people with a well-educated electorate, and that's kind of the calling I've been following. But it doesn't happen if it's just me standing out in the woods. Help me share that information. Help me support what I'm doing. Donating at the website, buying some of my material would help greatly for me to keep putting these things on, pay for the hosting and my travel and my ability to put on events. Most of all, though, I hope this made you think a little bit about where you get your information, how you vet your information. Hopefully you'll put some information in the comments about what are your trusted sources, or what are the sources you just plain don't trust. Let other people know. Let's share this information. Let's be a well-educated society so we continue to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. And if I got your attention, hopefully you'll join me next time on the Constitution Study.
You have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long